So Jean, is this meeting our internal ITC or in ITC and OTI?
The first 30 minutes is reserved for internal discussion only, and then
Okay.
OTI would join, and also Gail gave me a maybe, so they will come on live at 4:15.
4:15, okay.
Mhm.
Well, I mean,
Oh, Bill is here. We need to give him a very proper welcome.
Gee, Bill, and
Yeah.
then there were 4.
Sylvia is here. Okay.
Oh.
And
And
That
then
is
there were-
great.
Yeah.
There you go. Bill, you brought everybody with you. That's great.
All right, come on down.
Okay. One more left, right? Who's
Oh,
that?
yeah. So we're missing
Mario.
Mario.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this improved greatly now that Sylvia and Bill.
Hey, there's the Brian Butler avatar still there.
You know what?
Yes,
The
they're
first-
using.
We're gonna have to get him to every meeting now.
Yep, they're using. Gene explained they're using his computer for the Zoom. So
Yeah.
He's in. He's in.
well, anything that we need to cover with Margot that we need to openly discuss ourselves first here. I mean, as an opening, I would just say, you know, Margot, of course, is so easy to work with, and Laro has really helped because he's just coming from an ITC himself. It's kind of like when we had Zhigong for a while, you could just tell a difference. So I feel pretty good about the relationship, and I don't ever take it for granted because there are plenty of SBDC programs that aren't very well integrated with the state program.
I think I think around 2 years ago, the one that we still had Kathy, I think that's the one we started talking about the disconnection between ITC and OTI. But I think since after it's actually improved a lot, and we do see a lot of referral back and forth. So I think that it's something good. And just FYI, so I know Kevin talked about, you know, XM, trying to understand the XM program, but from my understanding, there is still no firm answer. So OTI is still trying to figure out themselves. So maybe we don't cover that in this one and allow them to have a little bit more time to refine the detail.
Mm-hmm. I think they're
Yes.
struggling with what particular programs qualify. Don't you agree, Kevin? That seems to be the crux of the concern right now with NXM.
Well, I just want to share with our internal meeting first about that, just for your update, rather than that point is as well that we already talked to the last week in a monthly meeting. But when you look at that, the new ISTEP program about Exim Bank, the language doesn't seem to be clear. So, for example, the client is supposed to submit the 3 different documents. One is ISTEP application form. Second is company letterhead, including all next shipment planned. And the last one is sample copies of purchase order invoice and bill of lading. So at that time, hey, that portion really made me confused there because, okay, are you accepting prior shipment as well? Because I saw the bill of lading. But so far it's clear, you know, our ISTEP program is reimbursement program. So pre-approval, action, and reimbursement in order. So the prior ones is not gonna consider that this time, but Atul mentioned that they will have an internal discussion if they will apply for the prior shipment as well. Depends on how the premium data shows them. Okay, so for now, just forget it, prior shipment. but only for any shipment up to the August. And then if a client has any shipment with the EXIM programs up to the August, we can have a client prepare application with the required documents. So, but still, I just asked them, what do you mean in a copy of bill of ladings? Oh, Kevin, just a sample copy of a prior shipment bill of ladings. Okay, so you know what? When from the third party standpoint, it's not clear. You know, I'm RPP region to provide more clear information for the network. So I'm trying to get the more correct, clear information from them. You know, guys, actually, it's been a little more time, not a good communication, but anyway, so far I figured out what they need, but as Jim mentioned, we're gonna have them get some more times to figure out that, but you know, I think right now, just so within us, I have one client who already used the Exim Bank programs. He is preparing for this application. I guess this application will be the first one to the OTI in our network. So with that samples, I just talked with their company accounting teams, sent the email to the Kevin, is this okay? But we're working on it. And I want to make one full set of the application. I just submit with the client together to the OTI, and I will get to receive their feedback. Once it works well, I will share that processes together. But so far, that's all I have. Okay.
Well, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. But you know, ITC network side, we have been very patient waiting for their feedback. Actually, since we heard CITO initiated this program to the 50 states since last August, but we fully understood each state different level, take different times, but now I think we all get close to the starting point. So please stay with us a little bit with the patience. So we'll get there. And then hopefully my example with the client will be working with the OTI first, then I'll share with you.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So anything that you want us to bring up with Margot otherwise when they jump on at 4:15?
Well, actually, the Jim, I don't know, the last year they skipped 2021 Governors Expo World, right? They skipped last year.
We didn't have any application, so
I did, but Gretchen is talked to me twice. It's a postponed, and first time maybe several months later, and then end of the month, end of the last year, but I couldn't hear anything, but it just passed last year. But maybe I think the Margot just mentioned about that is coming this year, maybe in the fourth season, something like that. But I just want to make sure that actually last year they skipped that, the 2021. Anybody hear about that last year? No. Okay. Yeah.
How's been referrals? Now, when you talk about referrals, I'm just curious, how's been referrals from them, the offices, and have you been getting referrals from them?
I actually did, but mostly from Chris. I think it's because, I don't know if it's because he's more active in the region or what's the reason behind that. But if I think back in the past few months, I got referral, but mostly from Chris and Laurel, probably 1 or 2 from Laurel last year.
Okay.
Yes, I never heard from Sam. I think that's about it because they're also short staff. So right now there are only 3 trade specialists if you think about it.
You know what? I've gotten 1 in 2 years. I would expect more. You know, if we're like doing the foundation work, helping them with the planning and things like that, I would expect we get more, but we're not. Like, so what happens to those that are not ready to export or don't have an export plan? They should come to us, but it's not happening.
But and they
My
get
sense.
and they get the I-step. I keep talking to Atul. You get the I-step applications. And so I talked to him and he got an I-step application and he was from Southern Illinois. And I said, oh, wait a minute. That's from out Southern Illinois. So why you're not, talking to us about it? So that's how I caught it.
And
So that's what I started wondering.
For my example is, and in that case, these are 2 or 3 clients that I've already worked with. And they submit an I-step and I don't know about it.
Yeah.
I think
that's what I was.
I think there is this connection in terms of ISTEP application and ITC. And I'm actually surprised because I thought, Bill, you would have gotten more because Chicago address and you are essentially the only Chicago. I know they are doing it based on geographic as we told them before. I'm gonna let Atul wait for a little bit. Yes. So I think maybe that's something we can bring up. Apparently some trade specialist is doing more like sending people without export plan to ITC, but maybe not all of them. And I don't even know that's a message that I say I said trade specialist like Atul. But wait a minute, I got a referral from James, even though that's really a client of our center. So maybe it's like somebody is doing that referral, but some is not 100% or not always remember that.
I think it's worth a discussion for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are we
Just to get them.
expecting Erica or with us at 4:15?
I don't know. That's a good question.
That's a good thing.
Mario.
Mario's here.
Hey, Mario. We're complete.
Now we are full house.
Yeah, we're full house.
Hey guys,
Hey.
sorry I'm late. I was
Hi.
with the client.
Okay.
Went too long.
Do we have a state director or nothing yet, Jim? Have you heard? No.
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 Okay.
I think
But Christie's-
what's her Erica will probably get that position because it was posted a month ago or so.
Okay.
Christie's talking tomorrow, I noticed, so maybe she'll say something. But then she can't say anything if it's still in process by the same
Yeah.
token.
Mm.
So who knows? Okay, so we're gonna ask about that. We're gonna ask about the governor's award. We're going through, OTI joins us at 4:15, Mario, so we're kind of going through anything we want to bring up.
Yeah.
What about
so, you just mentioned-
sorry, Maria.
Oh,
go
sorry,
ahead.
Sylvia, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go,
Oh,
please.
yeah. Yes. I just to tap on what Jim just said about the governor's award. Like, I never heard bad about it because I got a couple companies that applied. They're my clients, but nothing happened. I believe I follow up with I forgot her name. Just escaped my
Gretchen.
mind.
Gretchen.
Gretchen, yes, and she said that they were still going to do it, and then she was gonna give it an update by the end of last year. That never happened. So does anybody know what ended up happening with?
Well, before you just came over here, we just talked about that. Actually, I think I had the same situation so you had last year, but Gretchen mentioned it twice, just several months later, and then end of the year, but nothing to hear that. But that's why I just want to make sure 2021 thing, it just skipped that. But maybe we can ask to the new coming year schedule, this year's schedule. And also, if the applications made last year still will be considered for the review with the new 2022. Yeah, so yeah, that's important. You know what? Sometimes I'm really look dumb to the client, Kevin, because you talk to me. I'm eligible for that. That's why I did. But you mentioned that the September and end of the year, now they don't ask anymore. What kind of feelings they can have. So, but anyway.
Other things outside of OTI that we want to discuss?
Jim,
I
I
was-
believe, go ahead, Sylvia. Go ahead.
Oh, the only quick question I had is any feedback from your own UCX, Department of Commerce, in terms of referrals? Again, going back to referrals, any experience?
Actually, yes.
Positive, negative?
I've just gotten, well, Elizabeth is still remote, although now 2 days a month.
What do you mean? Like she's there two times a month in Peoria?
Right, one
physically?
day, like in 2 weeks, and then one day, 2 weeks later. And that's the schedule they've set up for the UCX. Anyway, so yes, we have gotten some things. There was a product classification question. And of course, Jim Ryan may see these more than me, but yes.
You mean client referrals?
Yes.
Client referrals, because I have gotten none, zero.
I have
Zero.
nothing from
And
US
I
Commercial
can even
Service.
recall when I have gotten a client referral. I have gotten none.
Okay.
Zero.
Yeah.
Zero.
Mm.
And I'm including St. Louis and Peoria. Zero.
Mm.
And I, you know, and even when I invite, you know, even when I send invitations to you know, my even webinars, you know, even webinars. And I'm just saying, I need, you know, 2 or 3 clients. Yes, we'll send, you know, we'll send, and I don't, and I really don't. And I'm thinking, where don't you have your client base? Don't you have a woman on? Sometimes I'm very specific. I need a client woman on in so and so industry, and I don't get in. I don't get them from them. And I'm thinking, where is the problem? Don't they have their client base? I'm assuming that they do have a specific, you know, clients on those industries, and I don't. And I'm talking again, St. Louis, Peoria. I don't have them. So I'm just curious. I'm just posing this question to everybody. I haven't. No. So
Well, it could be a question for Hovan and for Regina Heiss, just to see what.
but it's good to see that at least you have some. So that's good.
Well, I think, you know, in some respects, she needed to solve a problem that someone asked her, and she just knew that it would be. I mean, truly, we do product class, and it was not an easy one actually, but.
No, but you're talking about resolving a question.
Yes.
I'm talking about client referrals, or finding you clients. So Jim, here is a client that needs some, needs some extra assistance on so and so. I'm passing it to you.
Well,
this and
yes.
that.
So one,
client sharing, in other words.
Okay, so the example was, it was a company that needed to confirm their Schedule B number, and she sent that over to us.
Okay, all right. That's good. All right.
But in fairness, in terms of more strategic partnership, I have to say no, or at least not the same way that we do that way, of course, because, you know, the website globalization reviews have to go through, in our case, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
So that's bringing those clients to her.
Yeah.
I think Jim's done this series of webinars in Southeast Asia. She's had to be involved in those.
Sounds like they might be struggling too, to me.
Well, I'll tell you,
I have that feeling too.
to to see what she does, they pull them in lots of different directions that we're not sort of aware of. Oops, you're early. We start at 4:15, Lauro.
Sorry, I'll
Send them back.
I'll leave and come back at 4:15.
That works. Sorry, Laurel.
So did I accidentally hit it? Admit?
I think so, because my hand is, I'm sorry, but I am responding to the email now.
Oh, okay. You know, funny enough, they left.
I think Atul probably noticed like it's not time yet, and Laurel, Laurel, we sort of tell him to come back later because we're
Okay,
comfortable enough to tell him to come back later.
And Altul's trying again. Okay, so he's trying again. Well,
Here's my take on, I work with commercial service a lot. And my frustration is, okay, yes, so there's an opportunity in Germany, and our first opening to talk to somebody in Germany is 4 months from now. And, oh, let's work with Canada. And our first opportunity to look at that is, we'll call you back in 3 months. Like, but you know, that's the reality, and that's not, I don't think that's going to get fixed, but that's frustrating.
I'm letting Cheryl in because she's not OTI. Hi, Cheryl. We're doing internal discussions till 4:15 is when we're going to have OTI join us. So just FYI. I agree with that. Of course, we need them terribly. So I mean, because all roads lead to commerce for the gold keys and all that kind of stuff. But so she was very helpful on interfacing with the people with the post for the webinars. The trouble we had is we can't get people to come to webinars. I mean, we just can't. Now, Kevin, you do webinars all the time. You got a larger group to market to, but you must get people showing up because you're doing them.
Well, not the huge one, but for example, right now I have some kind of ratio on average. I think 30-40% is on of the 30-40% is show up.
Yeah, that's another problem.
Registrations, but because it's a virtual, and also this is all free classes, and then so but anyway, we do what is supposed to do at this moment, but at the center level, we're trying to promote the classes as much as I can using whole partners, OTI, and even ITAGC, that the trade association, and even we're sending the SBDC officer separately, and then sometimes they can put in that in the weekly connection there. Just trying to maximize as much as we can. And also from my the Neosera e-blast email to the whole ITC client at least a monthly basis. And then sometimes I need to select my client who needs that specific topic.
Exactly.
Yeah, put into their names, and I'm trying to my best.
I piggyback on that topic. So how is the client looking for, all the centers? So I haven't gotten a new client for a while, honestly speaking. And I feel like that, webinar participant rate is of course lower. And even, I think, Jim, this, like even Export Tech, when we try to recruit, we ended up one company short, so we had to cancel that. So I wonder if it's a concern we need to, apparently there is a disconnection, right? I'm pretty sure there is like more company looking to export, but we are not touching those company.
Right. Let me add Atul only because now I don't want to miss him this next time. So, and I'll let him know we're finishing up a discussion about new clients.
Okay.
No, I think it's a challenge for us. There's no question. And I'm guessing ICNC might have struggled, which is why they didn't renew the ITC. I'm just guessing. I don't know, but hi, Atul. We're starting with OTI at 4:15, but I didn't want you to have to wait any longer.
In all fairness, though, they've been great with the website globalization. I have to share. They've been terrific in terms of the responsiveness. And I have to say, everything has been great. The St. Louis office has been terrific, and also Elizabeth. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Very, very good. Very, very good. From beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Margot. Oh, wait, you're not yet audio connected. There we go. Hi, Margot. Hi, Atul. And Laro's coming, but he came early, so we knocked
He
him
was kicked
out.
out.
We kick him out, I'm sorry.
We start with OTI at 4:15.
He was reprimanded. I'll be right back. I have to.
And there he is, right on time.
Oh, Jim, by the way, it wasn't you. It's actually Andy because he texted me. He thought we didn't see it, so none of us hold responsibility for that.
Okay. How are you, Margot?
I'm good. How is everybody doing?
A little bit. We've been on virtual conference all day. This is the last part of it. And for some reason, the sessions are 90 minutes. And for virtual, that just seems awfully long for whatever. Although the content's been good. The content's been great.
Good. Any breaks in between, or does everybody need a break?
No. We had a 15-minute break, so no breaks.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
but it's all good. It's all good.
All right.
You had a
So you've got everybody except Jim Ryan is in Thailand on a setup trip for our trade mission next year.
Yes, that's what I heard. That's exciting.
Yeah, it is. And it's going well so far.
Fabulous.
Now, I shouldn't have admitted, who is Jay Moore?
James,
Jamie.
right?
Yes. So Jamie is our ISTEP program officer.
Oh, I know. I have to sit and talk to that Lester Johnson.
Lester's no longer with us.
I know. And I have to tell him about, he gets these jobs, then sticks with it for 2 years. You gotta go for 5. But having said that, Bun is an amazing company. So how could he say, it'd be hard to say no to that. And they really are good. And they're really strong internationally, as I think everyone knows.
Absolutely.
So, first of all, thank you for our strong relationship. And as I told the group, we don't take it for granted because we know that there are some states where it's almost between the state office and the SBDC program. So that we really appreciate a lot. We had one quick question on the Governor's Export Award status.
Sure.
So just what will happen to the applications from last year and just what
I have great news, and that was part of my my list of things to talk about today. But since you're asking, we'll start with that. We are going to be announcing 2021 winners and the application window for 22 in a press release, and I believe it's coming out in about another week. So the governor's office will be issuing a press release announcing last year's winners and the window of opportunity for next year's applications. This, of course, as everybody knows, has been a bit of a different experience for all of us. Typically we've had 30 or 60 days for companies to apply, and then we can celebrate them, usually in person with a great reception and lots of nice international food and drinks. Of course, the last couple of years didn't allow us to do that, so we've had to improvise. We were hoping that this spring we were going to be able to actually celebrate and have an event to celebrate last year's winners. That didn't happen, so we're improvising again. I mean, hey, we're nothing if not flexible, right? We've learned that over the last couple of years.
Oh gosh,
but yes,
good,
yes.
That's a great update, and that's awesome.
It is.
Well, then why don't you go through your list, because ours is probably going to be more just sort of back and forth, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And I put a couple of slides just for some visuals. So let me see if I can successfully get that going to share here. Give me one quick second. And usually we don't use Zoom, so you'll have to
I understand.
forgive me, but hopefully you can see that. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It worked. Success. Okay. But it's not at the beginning. So let's go back here. All right. So a couple of things we'll go over. I know all of you have been updated by Laro and Atul on our missions and program enhancements with ISTEP, but I put a few slides together just to have and to share and to answer any questions in that regard while we're all meeting today and talking. You beat me to the punch on the Export Awards announcement, and then we'll talk a little bit more and kind of brainstorm on some trade stakeholder collaboration items. But if you haven't already seen, last year's numbers were really good. With the ag adjustment, we exceeded 70 billion, which we're all really happy about. Even with the pandemic, we've also seen lots of foreign companies that have announced locating in the state, which we're really, really happy about as well. I'm sure you've seen some of the announcements, companies like Lion Electric and Joliet, Innova Feed down in Decatur, Next Time in Oak Brook. So companies from all over the world. We've been getting lots of RFIs, and I know we've been tapping into a lot of your local communities to help us answer some of those questions. So thanks for helping us with that, in addition, of course, to the export activities. I won't go into our mission. You guys already know that, and you know what we do. But I'll pause here for a minute because I think this is important. So we, of course, have our 6 regional foreign offices and our team in Chicago. In addition to that, I know many of you have been working with some of the other reps that we use very closely and work with very closely with, folks like Ken Yang in Korea, with Sarath in Singapore, with Vanya and Claudia in Brazil. So I just wanted to, as a reminder, even though we don't have an office, an actual Illinois office in some of these other locations, we are able to help support companies so that, we don't have to rely on some of the long wait times to do a gold key or other things. We do have some resources that we can expend to companies directly. Also in this regard, as we look at OTI's headquarters, I know many of you know we've had some staff transitions over the last few months. I'm very happy to announce that Laro was promoted into the Assistant Deputy Director position. If you didn't already hear, I wanted to say that because I feel like this group is family, and we'll be doing a more public announcement, but we're very happy that Laro was able to accept and fill in this role. He's been absolutely wonderful since he's joined OTI, and even before that as an ITC. So I'm personally thrilled and congratulate him and thank him for all of his work. And of course, we look forward to working even closer on various projects. He'll continue to be the ITC, of course, liaison for our office, and I'll join as often as I can as well, because I really enjoy talking to you guys. In addition to that, of course, as I mentioned, and as you know, Lester has accepted another position. Jamie Moore, James, is on the call today, and he's serving as our ISTEP contractor and program officer. And we're excited that he signed another contract with us, and he'll be with us for at least one more year, I'll say that. But again, as you all know, we've lost a few of our long-term trade specialists. Ivona, who was our European rep for many, many years, retired. Zhigong, we were able to bring back to help fill that gap that we had in Asia. And he, of course, has now moved to Germany. And so we still have that vacancy to fill. And of course, now with Laro moving on, we'll have the Asia Pacific role to fill. You'll start to see some of these announcements come through Probably within the next 30 days, I think we've gotten some green lights to move forward with filling these vacancies. But again, because we're family, I wanted all of you to be aware of what's going on here at OTI headquarters. We'll move forward here. I don't know if there are any questions about any of the export assistance, but I can pause there if there are. Otherwise, we can talk a little bit about some of the new offerings in ISTEP, if that's okay. And then just open it up for some questions. But as everybody knows, because of some of the raised ceilings, essentially, we're able to offer some additional funding in many of the categories, including, of course, reimbursements for individual foreign market sales missions. So we're able to cover 2 travelers as opposed to the 1 that we were covering previously. We've also raised the reimbursement at a $10,000 cap in most of these offerings, whereas before they were significantly lower. We've also added marketing media design as well as trade show shipping as additional add-ons and benefits to most of these items. I'll share our trade mission schedule with everybody at a slide here in a little bit.
Margot?
Yeah.
Can you go back 1 slide real quick?
Yeah.
Is there an easy way to remember, or maybe it's on the application, what are categories where the category itself has a limit? Meaning, I believe that there's only 2, you can either do 2 individual foreign market sales missions,
yes,
right? Or 1
right.
group trade mission, 1 individual foreign,
Right.
but that doesn't stop you from doing product certification.
That's right.
Which doesn't stop you from website localization.
Correct. Correct. We really want companies to maximize. So think of it as, yes, they can only participate in either 2 group, 2 individual, or 1 of each in any given year. But the other items are really to help enhance what they're already doing. So they can, still apply for the product certification. They can still add on the website localization e-commerce piece. They can, if they're going to a trade show, whether it's a group mission or whether it's an individual mission, they can add on that marketing media piece or ship their products. So all of those things are sort of in addition to the 2 offering that's sort of like our high level ticket, basically. But there is a cap at $25,000 in reimbursement annually. I don't think we've had anybody that's come close to that in the past, although now that we are allowing sort of more offerings under an application, we may be coming close to that. But I think, given all of these various resources and typically we want to make sure that companies that are participating in a trade show have the ability to assure, that they are compliant, that they are using that marketing piece, that they are shipping their products, that, if they need to enhance their website or localize their website, we're giving them the tools to be able to do that.
And so then 2 other ones real quick. Has it changed from what the 50% versus 75? Is it still rural or women owned?
Yeah, so 75% would go to a company that is considered a woman-owned company, a rural company, veteran-owned, and minority-owned. I think those are the 4 categories. Atul or Jamie, did I miss anything? Keep me honest.
No, I think you're in the clear.
All right, super.
And then I think I missed this, the definition of marketing media design.
Yeah, so companies can actually add on this component to an application if they're going to a trade show, basically to, if there's an opportunity for them, let's say, to get their name out there in some way outside of, let's say, just having their logo on our booth. It could be, in various forms. It could be, if you've been to a trade show and you see sometimes sponsorship opportunities, marketing opportunities, hosting something, various ways essentially to get your logo, get your name out there. Maybe it's a speaking opportunity. Sometimes you have these master classes or these breakout sessions that they do charge companies for, so that they can talk about their product, maybe do a product launch, at the event. So it could take several different forms and, we can work with the company on these ideas, but essentially it's really just giving the company another opportunity to market themselves at a trade event.
Great, thanks.
Yeah,
Margo,
absolutely.
do you have an explanation of this on your website that we can always refer the companies to?
It's in the application. I believe it's pretty detailed,
Okay.
but if there's something additional that's needed, if we need to clarify something, we can certainly do that, Sylvia.
Because it's always good to have it, and we can always refer them to, though.
Yeah, and we don't want to be too limited either, right? Because if
Sure.
if we give a
Sure.
couple of examples, but maybe there's something we didn't think about.
Sure. No, I
Yeah,
understand.
we don't want to
but
limit it either.
No, absolutely, absolutely. But something to get started with that they can
Absolutely.
initially have, that helps.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. And there's some language in the application itself under that particular category.
On the application. Okay.
Mhm,
All right.
mhm,
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yep. And I know we talked about the 75%. Do we need to talk about the 25% as well? I know sometimes there's some questions about that. So we do reduce the level of reimbursement for companies that are attending the same trade show or trade event for the third time. So essentially, we realize by the third and fourth time that they're going to a trade show, they've already maybe had, some significant leads at the show and have started to establish themselves there. And additionally, of course, we want to make sure that we're freeing up some space for some newer companies that haven't had a chance to go to that trade show. So we do reduce that reimbursement after the third time.
And Margo, are we still the domestic shows with an individual attendance, with international attendance? Are those
Yes.
still eligible? Okay.
Yes, yes. So we are supporting on an individual basis. And actually this year, for the first time, we're also doing a group mission to a domestic show that has a foreign buyer,
That's right.
significant foreign buyer presence, which is
The one in
FEMA.
Florida.
FEMA
Yes,
show, which
thank
we
you.
had lots of companies applying to over the last couple of years. And, we decided that was probably a good first domestic show to go out to with
Yeah.
so many buyers from Latin America there. We can support companies there in a group, as a group mission. But certainly as
Okay.
companies are looking at domestic shows that have a significant foreign buyer presence, we can certainly consider supporting them through the ISTA program as well.
And the same can be said about virtual, right? That will continue, or
We will continue that.
Okay.
I think all of us have probably seen that there isn't much of a demand anymore for virtual trade shows or trade missions. I think companies have gotten to the point where they realize that, they need to get to a show and participate face to face.
Right.
But yes, we will definitely consider
Okay.
virtual missions as well.
Thank
I don't think we'll be leading any though.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. I think we've kind of covered most of this, so I'll just move on. I'll pause here. This sort of shows, again, we raised all of the buckets to $10,000. So that, of course, gives companies that additional reimbursement. But I did also want to talk a little bit about Export Tech, because I know, unfortunately, we've had to put a pause on this last cohort, but hopefully we'll have one, coming here in the next few months, few weeks. Jean, I'm looking towards you to maybe guide us on that. But, certainly we have put some dollars aside for export education training. We can talk as we're applying for next year's grant as well. And, if we think there's a need, can certainly, also consider including this. I think everybody knows what our eligibility requirements are, so we'll move on from there. I talked a little bit about that third-party B2B. So of course, in addition to DOC, we do have other resources out in the field. And we realize that, with many of the offices around the world, the commercial service offices, working from home, being closed for such a long time, there's tremendous, I think, backlog is what we're hearing. So, certainly want to offer as many options as possible. So where we don't have an office, we are partnering with others to help support. And you all have seen this slide. We talk about this all the time. So if you're working with companies in your communities, in your regions, that are interested in participating in a trade show that we're not targeting as a group trade mission, please let us know. We have, been able, and I mean, FEMA is a perfect example, because there were a number of companies that were interested in going, we decided to explore that and lead a group mission to that particular show. So as you're talking to your companies, if you're hearing about a show over and over again, please flag it for us. Let Laura or myself or Atul know so that we can, do some research and consider doing a group mission to the show. So our 2022 group trade mission schedule is here on the next slide. A number of them have already occurred, of course. Arab Health, which is a staple for us and that we are planning on doing next year as well as Mobile World Congress that we will be doing next year. IESBGA was to take place in person, of course, because of the travel restrictions in China, we were unable to do so. CL Canada was a show we just did recently and was very successful. FabTech Mexico and FabTech Canada, of course, coming up here as well. Expo Pack Collision, which is a trade tech show that we're going to be not only exploring on an export side, but also FDI. Farm Bureau, many of you, I think, have already heard from Jamie that we're still recruiting for, but I think we've got almost the entire pavilion accounted for, but I think we might have a couple more slots there. FEMA, which we talked about. We're also looking to do Africa Health, which many of you may remember was a show that we've done in the past and was typically done in the spring, and this year will be in October. Medica, which is also a show that we do annually, is in November in Germany. And we're also planning, we had to move the Japan-South Korea multi-sector trade mission, which we were originally also planning on doing in the spring, to next December. And we've had lots of great feedback, I think, for that show as well. But, with all of these, if you are working with any companies that are interested, if we can accommodate them, as you all know, I try to find a way to accommodate them, even if, we can't provide an actual booth, maybe there's some other way, maybe they can still walk the floor or do something with us. So keep that in mind and just, keep that communication line open, let us know. And again, if there are other shows that aren't on this list that you're hearing about that you think might be a good fit for us, keep that in mind and let us know. Next, of course, World Trade Month. And I should have started by saying Happy World Trade Month. We've had a busy couple of weeks so far, and I know we'll continue to have a busy few weeks here until the end of the month. We've already hosted several webinars, seminars, as I know all of you have as well. And we've really loved the collaboration, helping us get the word out. Of course, we love sharing your events on the calendar and encouraging our companies to participate. I think that's been a good relationship and obviously something we want to continue to grow. Would love to, of course, as we're looking at next year, consider doing something in person. So hopefully sometime over the summer, we'll be planning a strategic planning session. I know we've had this in the past between OTI and the ITCs, and we'd love to do that again. And hopefully it will be in person, where we can talk about next year's World Trade Month, as well as additional ways we can collaborate, coordinate, of course, various events, celebrate our company's successes, and have some site visits. Talked about the Governor Export Awards. Of course, we'll be announcing last year soon and the window of opportunity to apply for next year. And love to maybe just stop here and open it up for conversation and see if, if folks have other ideas of ways we can leverage our resources and other maybe programs that you all are working on. I've also shared here, which I'll share with you electronically, our new contact list. And that is it. Let me stop sharing and we can open up to conversation. I know we don't have too much time, but.
No, that's great. That's great. Okay. So the one thing was, yeah, again, the cooperation, everything has been, we appreciate it very much, very much. Do you still require an ITC to kind of be with a STEP applicant if the STEP applicant comes to you directly? In other words, do you introduce the ITC? Do you introduce the client to the ITC or how do you even know if they're with an ITC or not with an ITC? I guess you wouldn't, would you?
Well, so we do ask the question on the application.
Sorry.
And during counseling, yep. So on the top of the application, it says, to please name the ITC that you're working with. If you're not, would you like to be introduced? And then of course we would reach out to someone out in the field. But typically that conversation is happening during the initial phone calls and the counseling. But I think for the most part, there's usually some kind of linkage. We're either getting a referral from you or Jamie Atul or one of the trade reps is communicating that out with all of you.
So whoever makes that first call back, if they've checked no, you might want to test that they know what it is that they said no to. In other words, that it was at no cost and that it's confidential and that we're all part of the same, essentially sort of the same organization. But that way because if they don't know what it is, they might just say, I'm just going for STEP and that's all I want right now. So that might be nice. That was that and the Governor's Export Awards. Just to put that forward, because maybe the number of inquiries coming from OTI feels a little less than it was in the past, but it could just be that the clients are all the same clients. And so that's less of an issue. So just kind of putting that out there. And I'm not the best person because Jim Ryan deals with all of our ISTEP and it was Jim and Beatrice before, but so just kind of putting that out there.
Sure. Yeah, and we can actually pause there. I don't know, Lauro, Atul, Jamie, if you want to comment on that as well as far as applications go. Hey, Atul, I think you're still muted.
Sorry, yeah, the timing worked out great on that one. But yeah, so to reassure Jim, sorry, yeah, as Margot mentioned, we put the ITC on top, not only because it was important and it always has been important. We do value the relationship and always have, even folks that don't normally talk to you on a daily basis. But at least 25% of the clients are usually forced to go to the ITC because they're not export ready. So whenever we interview our clients, we make sure that they're export ready. And so I really think what it is maybe we need to do more joint events or something like that in person. I think that might be the only way to cement the relationship that we are sister organizations. At least in my opinion.
And so far, we have not yet started in person. We have our first one coming up in June, and it's not even ITC, it's on the SBDC side. We've still stayed virtual on all of our training. It may be a mistake because we were just talking about this before you joined us. Our webinar participation has really gone down. And this last set that we did with Commerce and Lauro will know this, Commerce has now put a 10 minimum company for them to speak. And that's not us, it's not a professor, it has to be an SME that they can track to an actual company name. And we struggled to do that. So maybe in person is going to help revive our training. Training in the past has been one of the key ways we get new clients. And to explain why we're asking this, we are all struggling with new clients. Yeah. And we're even slightly concerned that we've lost some ITCs very much because of this issue, that they thought it was going to be relatively easy to, say we've got this ITC and all of a sudden people knock down the doors. But for whatever reason, that's not been the case compared to certainly the days that I can remember, but that's a long time ago.
Yeah, well, certainly what we do is not easy. You're absolutely right. And I think, companies have, of course, experienced tremendous challenges over the last couple of years. So, we're feeling that as well. So I think the recovery is coming, and certainly we're seeing some interest. They're keeping us very busy. I think recruitment has been going well, especially given all the various trade shows that we're planning on participating in person, over the next, let's say 60 days. But I think an in-person, we talked about maybe a workshop, a seminar, some kind of an event, bringing, OTI, ITCs all together and really just talking about all these kinds of things, I think could be quite timely.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah.
If I may, Jim,
Yeah.
since I'm sure you're keeping track of all these iStep applications, I'm just curious, how many of those are new clients during the last year?
I personally, I don't know what that stat is, Sylvia, but we can get back to you on that.
Sure, because that will be an interesting, number, and just how and how many of those. I mean, are you guys keeping track of how many of those new new companies or new applicants, how are they learn about the iStep applications in terms of
Sure.
what's working? How are they learning about that?
Yeah.
And that will be a great tool
Yeah,
for all of us
absolutely.
as a network.
Of course. And that's something we're happy to share. As I mentioned, we're planning a strategic planning session. So those are the kinds of things that I would like for us to unpack even more, to really take a deep dive and look at, how many of these companies were new, within which categories, which industries, really looking at, how they came to us. We've been leading a lot more virtual events, of course, over the last couple of years. So it makes it a little easier to get the word out. So, we believe that through that networking and constant follow-up and, doing all these kinds of things that, that's where many of the new clients are coming from. Also from walking different trade show floors. Our team spends a lot of time walking the floor at McCormick Place. They go to Fab Tech. I participate in a lot of these events as well. And we're passing our business card out and, talking to companies that have never participated in iStep before. And encouraging them to do so, that, if they are thinking about a new export market, to please consider us. So I think it's kind of a combination between some of the webinars, some of the training sessions, some of the just in person, going to trade shows and talking to folks. I think that's where a lot of it is coming from. But as far as dissecting it, Sylvia, I think you've got a great question, and we'll do that. And we'll certainly share that with this group.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the interest is going to continue to be strong. I was just looking at Q1 exports, and we're breaking 2019. So I mean, you showed this with your opening slide with 2021. It was a solid performance from the US standpoint, and then also Illinois. Just to let you know, two things we're also looking at you may remember from the last ASBDC CITO call, the US Trade Development Agency presented, and I then followed up with the presenter, and we're hoping to become one of the Make Global Local partners to help promote those feasibility studies that could lead to exports. And then today we just had Commerce present from the lead at the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development in London on all of their liaison work. And I recommended to Andre P at the USIAC that he might want to talk to Tricia Van Orden and have that office do the same presentation at the CITO ASBDC, because that was really interesting as well this morning. They didn't have it quite so focused on SMEs the way the USTDA did, because that was unbelievable. 80 plus of the projects were SME fulfilled exports, but they definitely want to focus on SMEs. So just kind of FYI, as we kind of look, I don't know where it goes to, but I mean, Illinois in water structure, in infrastructure, in water treatment, in all these areas that these multilateral development banks are working in. So I don't know, we'll see. Okay, open for everyone. Those are just the lists that I had. So ITCs, and by the way, hi, Chris.
Hi, Jim. Nice to finally see you.
Hey, Chris.
And everyone here. I've talked to Sylvia, Jean, and Mario. And
I know, it's just good to see faces.
Other people, yeah. Cheryl.
And the pilot on the website globalization.
Oh, yes.
That has gone so well. We were talking.
Everyone's so excited about that. Yes.
Yeah, it really has. So we'll see where it goes.
That was a great investment, Jim. That was
Yeah.
brilliant on our part, wasn't it?
It was. It was. I keep waiting for Commerce to say that we were like the first to really do something that concerted, to have 15 all done through STEP. But anyway, we'll see. So this is open for everybody else now.
I've been curious how it's been traveling abroad with COVID after, well, I was going to say after COVID, but during,
Yes.
still
We're
during
still
COVID.
in it, right? We're
Yes.
still in it.
So how it's been, Margot? And I don't know exactly. Please
Yeah.
share.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to share. That's actually a great question too. Since I guess the beginning of the year, I've traveled internationally a couple of times. Every market is different. Earlier on in the year, so I went to Arab Health in January, and everyone was very cautious. Of course, everyone was wearing masks and, being very, very careful at the trade show. You had to, show negative COVID tests upon arrival and at certain points during the event. And of course, we were all very, very nervous being at a trade show for a week and, being required to test before we could come home. That was probably the most nervous I've ever been traveling. And I'm not a nervous traveler at all, but just, that anxiety of, oh my God, what if I got it and I just don't have symptoms and I test positive and then I'm stuck here for another week because they're not going to let me go home. But I would say everybody was just really super respectful. And, and again, it's part of, various markets and cultures. When I went to London just a month ago, they had opened things up. So it was as though COVID never existed. No one was wearing masks. I didn't need to test to actually arrive in London, which was very, very different from my experience last October when I was there with the governor. I think we had to test 7 times, in 9 days. I mean, it was crazy in October. But this last, experience was very different. Very little mask wearing, everything was wide open, no testing required, but for coming back home. And so, one of the things that we were talking in our CITO board, and when we had the opportunity to talk to Ambassador Tai, was, when do we think that the US is going to, raise that restriction or lift that restriction? I'm sorry, is what I'm trying to say. Because so many companies, especially businesses that are participating in these kinds of trade events, are very nervous on that experience of coming back home and potentially being quarantined somewhere in another country for a long period of time. And I think the US is one of maybe a handful that are still doing it at this stage, which on the one hand makes us feel very confident and comfortable traveling back. On the other hand, it's also very unnerving as a business that, is overseas at a trade event and could potentially have to spend a few extra days somewhere.
And sometimes it's not that easy to get that test done in some countries too. Latin America is very hard too and very expensive.
Yes. So in the UAE and specifically in Dubai, they are not recognizing antigen tests. So you have to find a place that'll give you the PCR and hope that you're going to get the results back within 24 hours.
Yes.
And, when you go to big trade events like an Arab Health, where you have, in the past, it used to be 200,000 people. This past year, of course, it was, less than 100, which is still a lot, but significantly less than what we were used to. But, it's expensive, and just trying to find the place that will guarantee that you're going to have your results by the time you're boarding a plane, can be difficult as well.
Right.
But in most other places, I have found that, finding an antigen test is readily available. Also, if you're flying on airlines like United, when you book your international travel, you can also book getting a home test with a video consultation. And so you basically do your COVID test on video with the doctor. And, so it kind of speeds up that whole process. And many companies that I've talked to that have used that have felt pretty comfortable.
Okay.
FabTech, actually, Mexico, they had a testing place on site for the show. So
I have to talk to you, Chris. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and the same thing, when I went to Seattle in Canada, they had two places they recommended that you can go to get your test beforehand. And
Okay.
so the Fab Tech, it was free. It was in Mexico, so it was nice.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
But
I also have an
probably
article.
one guy who failed, who had a positive test from our booth, but he got back in the country
oh,
a day or 2 days. So, and he had no symptoms whatsoever. Just boom.
I have an article of a test kit that you buy, and it does it over Wi-Fi back to the US. And I'll try and find that, Sylvia, because he did it in his hotel the morning he got up, and then he logged in, and
where was that?
I have no. I'm trying to find it. If I'll make a note to find it and send it to you.
Yeah.
Oh my
and
goodness.
For many of these trade shows too, I guess to Chris's point, there's on-site testing centers. There's also ways that you can arrange to have somebody come to your hotel as well to come and
I
and
did
give
that
you
in
a
I did that
test.
in Lima.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
United is pretty strict though. It was to the T on the minute. I did not. I had to take it again. It was like $100. I had to take it again. $200. It was costly, but they did it at my hotel room. It was pretty good. But
Yeah.
you had to do it exactly when you were supposed to do it. It was
Very precise, very
yes,
precise. And that's
very
the key
much so.
too with any companies. I know everybody is, still somewhat anxious about this particular point, and there are so many options, and I think as we're talking to companies and counseling them, it's really about making sure before, know before you go. And this is one of those that we have to add now from here on out, I think, kind of know where you're going to get tested, whether it's going to be at the trade show, at your hotel, or if you can book through United or other airlines. Like I said, when you book your ticket, sometimes they give you that option and you can get a home test to do. So there are lots of options, and it's gotten easier. As I mentioned, when I was there in London in October, it was very stressful because you were testing all the time. You had to go out of the trade show to find, different testing centers, and it was very stressful. Now they've made things, much easier. It's definitely a different experience.
We're going to Spain in July for fun. And I don't know exactly what I'm getting into, but we've been waiting 3 years.
Yeah.
Enough is enough. We're going for it. So we're just hoping for the best.
Good for you.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I think I'm going, guys, the tornado warnings are getting here.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I think I have to get off.
Okay.
Sorry, that was the my phone getting,
goodness.
and
Bye.
I hear.
Be safe.
Sorry.
Good luck, Sylvia.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Good luck.
you.
Yeah, be safe.
Bye, guys.
Yes,
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you.
I didn't realize there were tornadoes. Is it raining out by anyone else?
No, we have
No.
great weather right now, but she's so.
Well, you can
perfect.
see there's a glare, of course, in my camera because it's very sunny outside here. So.
Exactly. Well, anything else for the good of the cause?
Anybody?
COVID testing is not reimbursable by ISTOP.
Yes. That's true. And we keep asking. Yes.
That's funny. Well, we had everyone test, Jim and the professor, we had them test ahead of time to make sure they're not asymptomatic positive, because then our Peoria County Health Department issues you a letter, and that's like your get out of jail free, because you don't have to ever test again because you got that letter, or at least for 2 months, I guess. But
wow.
But no, they were negative, so they didn't get the get out of jail free card. So what can I say? Well, listen, as always, we appreciate the support to the whole team OTI that's on the call. Chris and Nacho and Margot and your new folks that joined you, and our group. We're still strong, even though we're down a person or two, but we're still working hard. So
that's right. That's right. Thanks, Jim. And thanks, everybody. As I said, I always enjoy our conversations, and I'm really looking forward to us being able to get together in person, hopefully over the summer. So I'll be talking to Erica. We're going to try to nail down some dates on the calendar and hopefully it'll work out.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening. You guys deserve, I think, maybe a glass of wine or something after being on Zoom all day long, right?
Yes. Cheers to that.
Cheers. Cheers.
Okay,
Enjoy.
take care.
Have a
Bye.
good
Thank
evening.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.